Are leaks always a bad thing in the video game industry? Can they also bring something good with them? In my own opinion, it depends. The very recent Game Freak and Pokémon leaks show why leaks can be a blessing, but also a total nightmare to deal with, especially for the company itself. Everyone wants to hear good news first though, right? So let's look at the positive aspects of leaks. You see so much history that we normally would have never been able to see. Sure, maybe some of those texts about the humans engaging in totally normal relationships with their Pokemon should have been kept a secret, even though I think they're interesting. Writing them in a fairy tale fashion, where we already knew some Pokemon are obviously inspired by yokais and other mythical stories, they can get pretty dark. This time, a bit more loot. Tons of beta designs and no disrespect to Mudkip, but holy damn, I wish I would have used this Gen 3 water starter design, a water bunny. Already one of my favorite Pokemon ever now, without them even really existing. Seeing concepts like a way more dynamic camera in X and Y and wondering why they haven't used it. Probably because the game already ran really damn bad with the 3D effect on, so maybe it would have made your 3DS explode if they implemented it. Why not use it now though? Seeing documents that talk about fan reception and how Black and White wasn't received too well because it lacked some of the older Pokemon, so they changed it in Black and White too. It shows they listen to fan feedback, even if it sometimes is worse off because of it, so I'm sure the next generation will run better, right? It's just interesting to see all of this kind of stuff leak, prototypes, beta designs, unreleased games, something we have also seen with the giant Nintendo leak. Just so much history we would have never gotten a glimpse of, which sucks. We as the consumers don't need to know everything, but it makes you wonder, why don't companies do more little books about this kind of stuff? There's lots of art books, but it feels the inner workings of most companies are always shrouded in mystery and darkness. It's to protect themselves from the ideas getting stolen and things like that, but would it really hurt to have seen these things in a non-illegal way? Temtem wouldn't suddenly have become the real Pokemon killer just because we saw some of the documents that show how they design their characters and little creatures. But the shadow sides of the very same leak are personal information getting leaked and lots of information about the new and unreleased games. Even though the leaker said he won't publish any of that, but you know how it is. Maybe it actually will still get leaked anyways, which would be a total disaster regardless of how much you dislike Game Freak maybe nowadays. So I hope this part of the video won't age badly when I upload it and they decide to upload it afterwards. Would Game Freak still go ahead and release the games anyways? Would they totally rework them? Just change them a little bit? Something that happened with Vault back in the day when a German dude, those damn Germans again, I totally am not one. I train myself to have a German accent though, hacked them and found an unfinished version of Half-Life 2 and shared it with one of his friends who just published it onto the internet, according to the hacker himself. Despite popular belief, it wasn't totally radically different and changed from the final game because all the older, darker stuff was already cut by then. It obviously still has some changed things, like how you sadly can't ride on a Strider in the full version of the game. Even if tons of details about the new Pokemon games would get leaked, it probably wouldn't change too much since those games are more about the actual gameplay than the story. Can you really get spoiled by gameplay? Sometimes yeah, but it wouldn't really ruin the game. The most spoiler thing would be the designs of most of the new Pokemon if you prefer to see them yourself when you start the game. But now let's take an example that would hit me a lot. Xenoblade 4 getting leaked, so all the story is revealed, the locations and everything, months or even a year before release. I would have to stay off the internet for a long time to not get spoiled by something where it kinda makes the story worse when you get told what happens. Same goes for any of your favorite story games or movies or whatever. Also, imagine being one of the developers working so hard on something and then someone just leaks a build of your game with you having no power over it. Sometimes a leak can ruin a game's reputation before it's even out, giving people a wrong view of it without you having the chance to change it since the publisher has the marketing stuff under tight wraps and have to see if it would be a good reason to now already reveal it earlier. In the early Switch days, leakers have talked about the Mario x Rabbids game, and at first people thought they just meant the Rabbids in Odyssey, till the leakers just said nope, it's a game together with Ubisoft, and people were like, oh hell no, not those annoying screaming minions. I will never buy this game. In an interview they said how hard it hit them that the game was already seen as a bad game, without them even being able to reveal it themselves. Then, when they finally were allowed to show it off, it luckily changed the perception and made people think, hey, this isn't so bad looking after all. It turned into a success story despite that, seeing the creator of it on the stage together with Miyamoto and making you think, damn, sometimes even the rabbits can be quite nice. I never played the game myself since I'm totally bad at strategy games except for Fire Emblem, but it's made for kids, so maybe I shouldn't suck at it, and maybe I should take a look at it too. Or the other big hack that recently happened with Insomniac games, the people behind Spider-Man and other superhero stuff nowadays. All of their future games got leaked, just like that. Now everyone knows they are working on Venom and even an X-Men game, together with other information about the sales of Sony games, but the worst thing about it all, their personal information, including things like passport scans, the entire content of the PCs and all that, not knowing who got it and also wondering if all of the data got sold off. Those kind of leaks are obviously very different to, let's call them hobby leakers or YouTube leakers or just overall people that try to get some cash with them without keeping a company hostage at least. People with connections inside the industry and getting information that way, revealing and teasing them to make a career out of it. Nintendo uses their directs nowadays and also Sony with their state of plays to announce games, and people get super hyped for them, maybe a bit too hyped. There was that certain bot on Twitter in the last few months that before a direct aired always teased games that were gonna appear like 3 days before. At that point it just makes you wonder, why even take the risk? Is the cloud chasing really that important? And why do people hope so much for leaks, or hate them actually that much? Directs are basically just 45 minutes of advertisements if you want to see it in the most cynical way possible. But for some it feels like Christmas, finally seeing what Nintendo got in store, so they avoid the hardest to get spoiled on it, unlike people who search all around the house back in the day when they were kids to see if they're getting the presents they wanted from Santa and see them a few days before they're allowed to have them. Fake leaks have also been a thing since ancient times like the Roman Empire, and some leakers get more right than others, but in the end if you decide to hype yourself up and get disappointed, well, that's on you. If you decide you will hate everything shown in the direct, that's also up to you. Can't trust anyone except for yourself after all. Sometimes I wish I could run around in my room, screaming about a new exciting announcement and don't just sit in front of my monitor and think, yay, when they announce something that I like. How do I regain my emotions? In the end, it's up to you to decide if you like those kind of leaks or not. Some people have their little fun when speculating about the next direct. Some don't even want to be spoiled about the date till Nintendo themselves announce it. Just remember that leaks in a written form can be pretty bad sounding, like the Maroon Rabbit situation. Have an open mind and give games a chance so the actual trailer for it can make you think, huh, maybe this isn't so bad at all. Or well, maybe it will still look bad to you. In short, I think leaks can be great for archive purposes and seeing the inner workings and thoughts what the developers were thinking about when they made older games like Skylar's design notes, really putting the freak in their name to good show, even though we know they can get even freakier. Having modern games leaked though, well, that's not so rosy. Sometimes people say the video game industry has too many secrets, but then I wonder again, why do I need to know when a game is gonna come out so early? In the movie world, movies get announced like 3 years in advance with a whole roadmap, and while it works for those, it feels for video games it's not quite that easy, especially when you see how people react to delays. Even when delays are a good thing, unless you want to have another Cyberpunk release disaster, where people got really pissed over all of the delays, and that's what you get if you cling onto a number that much. Insert the famous Miyamoto quote here. I will just sit here and wait, since that's all I can do anyways. Doesn't matter to me if I get information about the game just a few months before release or a whole year. I'm just gonna look forward to the next leaked Ratchet & Clank game in 2029 and hope it will be great again like the old ones. I hate modern development cycles, but if you enjoy watching your daily videos about the newest Switch 2 release totally confirmed leaks, then have fun doing that. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night or whatever fits your time zone. Also don't do anything illegal, but I'm pretty sure a person watching videos of mine would never do such a thing like hacking a big company. Or maybe that's exactly the type of person who would. Bye bye.